Welcome, everyone, to Tell Me Why, a short, sharp, well, we hope sharp podcast for busy Beatles people in the know or busy Beatles people who want to be in the know. I'm your host, Jude Sutherland Kessler. I am the author of the very heavy John Lennon series, which will be a series of 9 books that take you through the life of John Lennon and, of course, his mates, the Beatles, as if you're reading a story, but there are over 4,500 footnotes in every book. So as you enjoy tagging along with the Beatles, you're getting what they actually said, what they did, even what they wore and ate. It gets way into the weeds. So I'd love to have you join us on this process of traveling through John's life. It's a real adventure. And the brand new book in the series, which is going to be Shades of Life Part 2, its title is Some Forever, will be out in March 2025, and you can pre-order it now at johnlennonseries.com. And if you're planning to, and I hope you are planning to come to the Fest for Beatles fans, March 28th through 30th at the Hyatt in Jersey City, you'll be able to come to the book release party. It's going to be so much fun. Scott Erickson is going to perform, do some deep Lennon cuts. We're going to have refreshments. We're going to give away prizes. So you're invited. I hope you can join me for the release of Some Forever. And if you order your book early, which really helps us with the printing costs, because we did a book 3.5 years ago, and in 3.5 years, as you know, prices are horrible everywhere, but printing has almost doubled. So it really will help. Thank you so very much. Now, on the bright side of things, I am very excited to have a very special guest with us today. His career with the Beatles started, as most of our careers with the Beatles started, on Sunday night, 9 February 1964, he and about 25 other students at Harvard University were crammed into this room around a TV. I'm assuming we'll have to ask him, a black and white TV, to watch that Sunday night Ed Sullivan show. And what he saw just excited him and inspired him so much that only a few months later, on the 27th of August, 1964, he was sitting with 14,000 other fans, or 13,999 other fans, in Cincinnati Gardens to see the Beatles perform live. And that wasn't enough, because 2 years later, 1966, he is back again at a concert in Cincinnati. This one wasn't in the Gardens, but he was watching the Beatles perform live, not realizing, as none of us knew that fateful summer, that it would be probably one of the last concerts that the Beatles were going to do live. And after they did Candlestick Park, George would famously say, "That's it, I'm not a Beatle anymore." And they were into the studio from then on. He finished his work at Harvard, got his undergraduate degree there, went on to get his master's at Harvard, and then went on to get his doctorate at, I believe it's the University of Minnesota. And he has spent a career as an educator and a counselor. But through all of those phases of his life, when he needed inspiration or uplift, the Beatles have been there. So in 2020, I almost hate to say the year, it was such a turning point for all of us. But when we were all forced into isolation because of COVID-19, he decided to take a sad song and make it better. And we're going to talk to him about the book that he wrote that year. It's a great book called When We Find Ourselves in Times of Trouble. And I am just so thrilled to have with us the uplifting, the inspiring Beatles fan, counselor, and educator, my friend, Tim Hatfield. Tim, welcome to Tell Me Why.
It's great to be here with you, Jude. I've been looking forward to this a lot.
Well, I love your backdrop, and there they are in all of their finery. And your book is on the wall, and I will show people. This is the cover of the book. And the reason that I'm showing it to you is because when Tim wrote it, he decided to release it exclusively as an ebook. And there's a reason for that. And he's going to tell us about it in just a minute. But Tim, you really set out to do something that no one had ever done before. You were going to take us through every single one of the Beatles songs. And that in itself is mind-boggling. But you weren't trying to do like a Beatles recording reference manual that Jerry Hammock did, where you talk about the instruments and what kind of a amplifier was used and what kind of a feedback they got, and every single little detail. You weren't trying to do what Mark Lewison did in the complete Beatles Chronicles or the Beatles recording sessions. You were looking at these songs from a different perspective. Tell us about that, and tell me why you wanted to do that.
Well, your introduction really spoke well to that. 2020 was a terrible, scary year. The whole country, and in fact, the whole world, was just freaked out about COVID because so little was known and people were afraid. And I think my counseling and stress management expertise kind of kicked in, because what I wanted to do was something to help people. And, I'm just this one guy. And I said, well, what in the world can I do? Well, as you said, I've been this fan my whole adult life of the Beatles, and I'm crazy about these guys. So I decided late in March of 2020 that I would send out an email every day about one Beatles song with a point and click URL and a little bit of a backstory about the song. And those backstories took different directions. Sometimes it was about what it was like in the studio. Sometimes it was about what inspired them to do the song, all those kinds of things. That was really the fun, creative part for me. But for 260 consecutive days, I dug through every Beatles song that I could find and did a little essay and worked every day to try to get them out by 8 o'clock in the morning so that my sister-in-law, Carol, would be able to read it at work before she started her workday in Cleveland, Ohio. And that meant that the workday started for me at about 5:30 in the morning. I'd roll out of bed and say, okay, what's the song going to be? And had done them randomly, by the way. They weren't in chronological order. There was new, old, famous, not so famous, covers, not covers, until Susan, my spouse, finally broke through to me and said, Tim, you don't have to be pounding out of bed every morning at 5:30 to write this thing. You could do it the night before so that I can get some sleep. And so I'm a slow learner in some regards, but that's kind of how the process went. But every day I did that, and the initial 24 people who I was looking to try to give little uplifts to grew organically from a small kind of in-group of family and friends to over 200 people. So by the end of the year, 225 or so people were getting these daily updates. And then it's like, whew, done with that. And then I started getting notes from people saying, this should be a book, man. So I went, oh, I don't know. But then by 2021, I started working on a few revisions, and then it became the ebook.
Yeah.
But the initial impetus was to help people out and to help them get through a trying time.
When we find ourselves in times of trouble, right?
Well, thank God for the Beatles, as lyricists, and take a sad song and make it better would have been another good title.
That's true. I'm going to call up one just so that people can see what's a good one. How about
a favorite of mine in the book is While My Guitar Gently Weeps, because the backstory is so cool for that.
Let's see if I see that one. Here it is. All right.
Number
So all
32.
I did was, let me see if I can turn this so you
It's
guys
a
can see
little
it.
bit shiny. There you go.
Yeah. Um, let's see. You, they're all listed at the beginning of the Kindle or the ebook that you have, and you can just tap on the book and it comes up. Now, I'm sure that people out there are saying if they haven't seen this, they don't understand why it's crucial that you read this as an ebook. And they're saying, well, tell me why you didn't make it into a physical book. So tell them why.
Okay, full disclosure, I would have loved for this to be a real book. I love books, I always have, but as a totally practical issue, there would have been no way to do an easy point and click on a song and then read the backstory. So it's and I'm if anybody out there hearing this has any great ideas, I'd love for them to get in touch with me because I still love real books, but as a practical issue, pointing and clicking for not much money at all on every Beatles song, whether or not you read my prose, it would really be a good deal
I
in
know
my
how you can do it, and I'll tell you after the show, and it's super.
fantastic. Okay.
But here's the deal, guys. So you call up While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Right at the beginning, there is a link. I'm gonna hold it like this. I think you can see it. You tap that link, and before you read the article, you listen to the song. And on many of them, there's a link at the end of the essay, the blog or article that Tim has written. You tap that, and it takes you to a live performance of the song. So you
Yeah,
couldn't do that, at that time, there was no way to do that any other way but an ebook, right?
that was my thinking. Although I will be all ears for how to make this available in multiple kind of formats.
And so, of all of the ones that you did, While My Guitar, was that your favorite, or did you have one that
Well,
really?
I went through these again in the last few days, sort of doing my homework before I met up with Jude Sutherland Kessler, and there are a bunch of them that I really like a lot. But that is probably one of my favorites. Although a month ago I got to go on tour around Liverpool with my wife Susan, taken around by Jude's good friend David Bedford, and the story that he told about Penny Lane was phenomenal. That's lifted straight out of their for real experience, and we saw the roundabout, and we saw the barber shop, and we saw the bank, and it was a thrill. So that was great. But I mean, do you want me to say anything about While My Guitar Gently Weeps too?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Well, George Harrison, as you know, was quite serious about Eastern spirituality. He took it quite seriously. The other Beatles got into it, and they hung out with the Maharishi and everything. But he was very much into it, and he was uh, interested in demonstrating a basic precept of Eastern spirituality. The basic concept was everything happens for a reason. There's no chance out there. So he got a random book at his house, opened it up to a random page, put his finger down on the page, and came to the phrase "gently weeps." And he said, "Okay, I'm going to write a song based on this." And that was the genesis for "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," which was astounding to me. And then the rest of the story is that it kept getting overlooked by John and Paul when it came time to try to get his foot in the door for the White Album. And in a cab, he was riding with Eric Clapton and said, "Hey, Eric, why don't you come into the studio with me today and play with me on this song? And Clapton said, oh, no, nobody ever plays with the Beatles. And he said, no, no, please come along. I wrote this song and it's pretty good. And so he brought him along. And then he said it was great because everybody else behaved better and they laid down the song.
I love
And it was a wonderful song, just an outstanding song that maybe that had a very interesting origin.
Yeah, it does. And you take all of the songs and you tell backstories and you tell things that are aimed at helping people make it through another day and look forward to tomorrow and jump out of their bed at 5:30 for their project or whatever they're doing. And your birthday is celebrated. It's dedicated to people celebrating their birthday. Each song has a unique take on it. So Tim, how can people get the book? Obviously, it's on Kindle, and there's a free Kindle app on every iPhone. So if you say, "Well, I don't have a Kindle or a Fire," you get it on your iPhone free of charge.
Yes, you can.
Kindle app. But where else can people get the book?
Well, it's www.amazon.com is the only place that it's available.
Okay.
Until, of course, Jude teaches me how to make it into a book. But I've posted eventually all of the songs on my own Facebook account, and I can give you the number for that if you're interested. Hang on a second here. It's the www.facebook.com Tim.Hatfield 3914. That's correct. Tim.Hatfield.3914. And the truth is, if you go on Amazon, you can check it out and get to the first 30 or so pages of the book for free, just to see if it's worth your time.
And it is. You will definitely enjoy it. It is, you think you're going to read just one. Well, I'm just going to read one for today. And then you go, well, I'll read two. It's like a potato chip. You're going to absolutely love it. So we always close every show, Tim, by asking, we put people on the spot, but at least I tell them ahead of time to tell me your favorite quote from I call him Sir John Lennon. And he said so many interesting things. So I know you have two. What are your favorite quotes?
Actually, one is a lyric that I think is just a very famous post-Beatles lyric from him, from Beautiful Boy. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. I think that's just a wonderful quote, deep, and it reflects I think the depth of John as a guy who much better than I do, from all of your work. And the second is that I really like was a public statement that he made in 1963 in November at the Royal Albert Hall at a Royal Command performance that the Beatles played at in front of the Queen Mom and a bunch of the royals and stuff. And I can't do John Lennon's voice, but I can read you the quote.
Okay.
For our last number, we'd like to ask your help. The people in the cheaper seats, clap your hands. The rest of you, just rattle your jewelry. And then he sort of went like this and knew that he had really said this pretty cheeky thing. And the audience went wild, and then they launched into Twist and Shout.
Let's watch John say that. You're going to give me a clip, and through our technology of Rand Kessler, my Jeff Emmerich, we're going to drop it in for you right here. So everybody, here's John.
For our last number, I'd like to ask your help. With the people in the cheaper seats, clap your hands. And the rest of you, if you just rattle your jewelry. Thank you. We'd like to sing a song called Twist and Shout.
Okay, so yeah, that's not exactly what John told Brian Epstein that he was going to say. And poor Brian, sitting with his parents watching this transpire, was pretty sure that John was going to use an expletive in there, and he was in tears most of the night. But John knew better. You can always tell when John's going to say something untoward because he always scratches his sideburn when he's getting ready to be cheeky. It's a tell. But I love that quote too. I love it too so much. Well, Tim, people can follow you on Facebook. Are you on any other social media?
I'm probably among the least social media savvy guys who I know. My wife is much better at it than I, but Facebook is it. But I hope that people will take the time to consider checking out this book, because even at this point, I look back on it and I'm still pretty okay with what pulled together here. And I tried to tone down the COVID specific in references in the you two can do okay in your life. You're going to get through everything that's facing you. Susan said that she didn't think that would be a big selling point to remind people of one of the worst years in the history of the world.
Yeah. Well, but we all still need that. So, we all still need uplifting. We all still need encouraging. Every day for somebody is their own personal pandemic. So this book is good. And
very well put. Very well put.
That everybody needs to read. They really do. Well, before we close, I want to thank my guest today, Tim, for taking a time of isolation and making it into a time of outreach where you reached out to people and did some good in a very trying time, and writing this beautiful book that really still can touch hearts and minds. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Hope to see you on Tuesday evening, the 10th of December. Every other month, my husband and I host a free webinar called John Lennon Focal Points. We have discussed everything from Shea Stadium to the Beatles meeting Elvis to the making of Rubber Soul. And we're getting ready to have a fun one on the 10th of December. It's going to be a holiday party. We're going to play the Beatles' 1964 Christmas message through the auspices of the very talented Scott R. McKinley, who does John's voice and all of the Beatles voices. We're going to give away tons of prizes. We're going to see the Beatles Christmas greetings that they did on video, shorts and clips that they did. We're going to listen to Dora Bryan's All I Want for Christmas is a Beatle with a cute, cute video that goes with it. It's just going to be a fun night. And my co-host for that evening will be Joe Johnson of Beatles Brunch. So 10th of December, 7:30 p.m. I'll be putting the link out on my newsletter, which is free. Sign up at johnlennonseries.com, or follow me on Facebook and we'll give you a link. We're going to give out about 20 great Beatles prizes. So you definitely want to be there that night for the fun. Tim, thank you. And tell Susan, thank you. And I love your book, and call me after the show and I'll tell you how you can make it into a physical book.
I will be all over this. And
All right.
Jude, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. As we always say at the end of the show, ta-ra and shine on.